Hello and welcome to video 1 of the Licensing Education Series by AIC, a partner of American Senior Benefits. These videos should be used in addition to your study material, not as a replacement. I've simplified the material for these videos to give you an overview of the topics you're going to have to study. If you've already started your study material, that's okay. These videos will still make it easier to retain the information. Please watch each video all the way through once without taking notes, and then go back and take notes. You'll find that you retain more information that way. If there are any topics that you would like me to do a deeper dive into, please comment to tell me the specific information you want me to go over. Thanks for attending, and let's get started. So this video is going to go over licensing. It's pretty short, but there are a few questions on the exam about it. So, how do you actually get licensed? Well, it's pretty straightforward. You study, you take a test. Once you pass the test, you pay the state, and then the state does a background check on you. And if all of that goes well, then you get a license. In Oklahoma, you do not have to take a class before testing. In some states, you do. Here, you just have to be able to pass the exam. So after you pass your test, you will then apply for a license with the Department of Insurance. If you're eligible, one will be issued to you. The exam covers general knowledge, the types of insurance the license covers, which in our case is life and health, the insurance agent's role, the insurer's role, and the laws and regulations of the state. If you move from one state to another, you usually will not have to retest since most states have what's called reciprocity. In some states, you can also get what's called a temporary license. And that allows you to work while you're still studying for your test. In Oklahoma, during the beginning of COVID, there was a provision to get a temporary license, but there is not one now. Now, if something happens to you and your spouse or legal representative is going to maintain your business, that person can get a temp license while they're figuring out what to do with your business. So the test is not designed to make you fail. It's to make sure you have an overall minimal competency so that you can be held accountable for your actions as an agent. It's a good idea to go to your State Department of Insurance, which in Oklahoma is oid.ok.gov, or go to the Testing Center website and get a breakdown of what's on your test. In Oklahoma, there are 150 questions, and you have to get 70% or better on the exam to pass. So figure out which topics are most heavily weighted on the exam and focus most of your attention there. For example, in Oklahoma, we have a breakdown of 9 questions about licensing, which is 6% of the exam. We have 30 questions about life insurance, which is 20% of the exam. We have 15 questions about health, which is 10% of the exam. There are 5 questions about Medicare, which is 3.3%. There's 5 questions about long-term care, which is also 3.3%. We have 42 questions, which is 28% of the exam, about provisions, options, exclusions, riders, clauses, and rights. There are 13 questions about underwriting, which is 8.6% of the exam. There are 2 questions about replacement, that's 1.3%. And there are 29 state-related questions, which is 19.3% of the exam. So as you can see, if you were to spend all your time on replacement and ignoring provisions, for example, you wouldn't be doing yourself much of a favor. In Oklahoma, we don't have separate licenses for agents and brokers. It's a combined license here called a producer license. The difference between an agent and a broker is generally that an agent works for and represents one insurance company, and a broker is more independent and represents more than one company. There's also a license called a CSR license, that's a customer service representative. And a CSR license is, it allows a person to basically work as an assistant to a producer. Now, just getting a license does not allow you to sell insurance. You have to then get what's called appointed. So the insurance companies or the carriers, the insurers will appoint you to be able to represent them. Now, if you're a captive agent, you usually are appointed with one company, and if you're a broker, you are usually appointed with more than one company. Brokers usually work through what's called an IMO or an FMO. And if you decide to go independent, you should learn more about those, obviously. Basically, the appointment is a formal permission to act on behalf of an insurance company. Most times you need to be appointed before you can write an application for that company, but some companies do trigger the appointment process when you write your first application. But whichever way it happens, the insurance company has 15 days from whichever trigger they use to notify and file a written notice of appointment with the state. Now, that appointment can be revoked by the insurer as long as it doesn't violate your rights as a producer, and the insurance company will notify the Department of Insurance that you don't represent them anymore. It doesn't have to be revoked because of something necessarily wrongdoing kind of a situation. It could be simply from like a lack of production. However, if it was revoked due to something that would be punishable by the Department of Insurance, the insurance company then has to notify the insurance commissioner, and that's usually within 30 days. Now, the insurer will specify your role and responsibilities. In most cases, your authority is limited to field underwriting, which we'll get into a little more in the underwriting section, accepting applications on the insurer's behalf, collecting a premium, delivering policies, and servicing the policies after issue. The agent is not responsible for binding the contract or modifying the coverage. Binding basically means telling the client, yeah, you have insurance. You're binding the insurer to that client legally, and they don't allow life and health people to do that. Licenses usually remain active until they are revoked or suspended. Oklahoma requires you to renew every 2 years. The first renewal will probably be less than 2 years because licenses renew on your birth month. And when you renew, you'll have to do some continuing education. We call them CEs usually. And of course, pay a fee to the state. Luckily, you do not have to retest. If you can't renew because of being in the military or some other exceptional reason, you can get a waiver to delay your renewal. In Oklahoma, you have to have a business address. Now, your business address is sometimes the same as your resident address. And if you change that business address, you also have to notify the Department of Insurance in writing within about 30 days in most states. If you move to another state, like I said, you usually don't have to retest again, but you do have to apply for a new resident license in that new state, and you usually need to do that within 90 days of your move. The insurance commissioner can put you on probation, suspend or revoke your license, refuse to renew your license, and or fine you, which is called a civil penalty, if you do something that's against the rules, like break the law or violate regulations. Some examples would be lying, fraud, misrepresentation, being coercive, forgery, like signing a spot on an application for a client, even if the client says, Yeah, I know I forgot to sign that. Go ahead and sign it for me. I trust you. You can't do that. That's still forgery. Putting another agent's name on an application, which I've actually seen an agent get disciplined for doing. Having a lien placed on you for back taxes or back child support that you don't have a payment plan on. Twisting. When you're twisting business, you're misrepresenting a competitor to get a client to drop a policy and buy one from your company. Churning. Churning is misrepresenting a policy issued by your own company to get the client to drop it in order to buy one from you. And defaming another company is also not allowed. Any of those things could get you in trouble. So basically, if it seems shady, just don't do it. All right, so that is licensing. The next video is going to start in on life insurance. Please like and subscribe so you'll get notified when new educational videos are released. Thanks for watching.